The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak, the Director of Communications for Albany County. And in the next 30 minutes or so, you're going to learn more than you ever thought you would about what Albany County has to offer and what's going on in the Albany County Executive's office. Joining me today is my boss, Albany County Executive Dan McCoy. Welcome.
Thank you, Mary. It's nice to be on your show finally.
I keep saying I've got to like find a way to double book you because there's so much stuff going on.
But I was always wondering when you were going to have me on your show. I kept laughing. I go, maybe she'll request me to come on. So I'm glad that you finally did.
I'm glad you're here. Well, you know, so much of what you do is about diplomacy and negotiation and keeping it close to the vest until you're ready to announce something. So I know that's always a challenge.
Yes, it is.
But you had some very major announcements in your State of the County address, which you delivered at the beginning of March. Let's talk about that. We're talking about a substantial size budget, and yet a lot of initiatives, and even some new ones.
Well, I don't think people in Albany County realize how big the county budget is at the end of the day. It's it's roughly a little bit over $651 million, and just to really showcase it, if you took every budget in the county of Albany, every city of Albany, Village, Colonie, Guilderland, Bethlehem, you take everybody and you bring it together, their budgets will not even touch our budget. Mm-hmm. And we run a lot of crucial services that a lot of people don't see, like transportation for special needs, early intervention, speech pathologists, OT, and then we do probation, and we have mental health. So there's a variety of agencies that really interact with the 310,000 residents here in this county every day, 7 days a week.
And because I think, to your point, that so many times it is partnerships, people think maybe it's the city of Albany that's running the program, but you're in partnership, and it's really maybe county services that are happening.
It really is. I spent 12 years in the legislature, and when I came over to the county executive's office, that's one of the things a lot of people, as I started to take the State of the County tour on the road after I did my county, State of the County that I have to deliver to the legislature every year, I decided I wanted to visit every town, village, and city in Albany County and give that speech to the town board mayors, the mayors or supervisors, and especially to the residents, because I want them to know what we do every day in the county. And a lot of supervisors are like, well, we pay these taxes, and what do we get in return? And once I started breaking down the services, they're like, oh, we didn't know Albany County provided that. We didn't know Albany County did this.
Or how much they're actually getting right in their individual town. Right?
Yeah. And it's one thing I used to say to the Albany County legislatures. A lot of these legislators vote on things that have major impacts in the towns and villages and cities where they represent, and it goes unnoticed, and it's one of the things I've actually talked to the chairman, Sean Ward, about, highlighting a little bit more of what we do in government to get it out there. Is the thing I've talked to Frank Camiso about, the majority leader, and Frank Marinello, to really get out there to say, look, this is what we're doing. We're doing the people's business, but most importantly, it's the services that we're delivering. And that kind of gets me to my State of the County.
Sure.
We talked about an equity agenda, and we've really, over the course of the last 5 years, have looked at the services we deliver. How do we deliver them? How do the people within the departments feel how we deliver them? Okay. And we partnered with Albany, and I can't thank them enough. And we're going to continue, to go forward to say what works, what partnerships work out in the community. If we've been doing something for 30 years and it's not working, and someone else in the community is doing something that's working, we're going to get behind them. Because at the end of the day, it's that light at the end of the tunnel for the residents, to change their life. And that's why I've been really big with the ILS bill. People are like, well, why are you getting involved with that? Well, we run a public defender's office.
Right, indigent legal services, for those who may not be familiar.
Yeah, an alternate public defender's office. And we have these things called, I think it's 18B, where we pay, if we can't, them attorneys attorneys can't help you and there's a conflict in both offices, then we provide you to get a private attorney. Well, it costs a lot of money. But most importantly, I was really moved with the K-Leaf story. I read it in the New York Post or New York Times. I can't remember and I read the story, how he ended up in jail at Rikers Island for 3 years.
As a teenager.
Correct. As a teenager, family there, he pleaded innocent. The family couldn't afford to bail him out. The attorney dropped the ball on it. He gets out and, he committed suicide. And to me, that shouldn't happen.
Accused of stealing a backpack, for those who aren't familiar, and he was never formally charged. Always maintained that he had not taken the backpack.
Correct. And, to me, it's taking the course of a young person and really sitting and saying, we're going to give you the best representation. They go up against the district attorney's office that they do a great job. District attorney does a great job and the people in his office do a phenomenal job. Well, it's kind of hard. We didn't, at that point, we didn't have investigators. We didn't have the staff to compete, because the police departments arrest them. They make the case. They give it to the district attorney. So it's hard. So right now, what we have done, we've added more private investigators. I was hoping this bill was going to pass. So just let your viewers know.
Right. And I should say, because you're very humble about this, but you were the one in Albany County that actually the bill was written from your office. The bill was submitted to the state and legislator Pat Fahey.
Yes, Pat Fahey. Yep, she did a great job. Well, the bill was, listen, I can't thank Phil Calderon and Chris Quinn and Albany Law. There's a lot of people that put a lot of time into it. We convinced Assemblywoman Pat Fahey that it was a good bill. She got it. It took a little time. We got there, and she ran with it in Assembly, and she got it passed there, and they got it passed in the Senate last year, and the governor vetoed it, and the Assembly came back with the bill.
So it died at the end of 2016.
Correct.
January again, you had the gloves on, you were fighting again.
Right, and the Assembly put it up again right away. The Senate never did. Okay. And, it saddens me because I hope it was an election ploy by the Senate, saying, because upstate New Yorkers really wanted the relief. Because it is about the relief, but me, it's about the relief, but it's also I want to invest the same money in that office so that someone goes to the court system and there's not two justices system. Right now, there's a justice for the poor and for the rich. And if you and I drove out of here and I got a DWI by the same officer and I have no money, and you have a lot of money and you can afford great representation, our outcomes are going to be different. It's in the court systems all across the state of New York. So we want to make it fair. So regardless if you're a millionaire or if you're somebody that's barely getting by, you're going to get the same representation in our court system. That's what this land was built on. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but there's a lot of great things going on. That's part of our whole equity agenda, looking at everything. But what's most important, too, to a lot of the viewers, I want to let them know, this is the 4th year in a row. We've been under the cap. 3 years is zeros.
The property tax cap that we're talking about.
3 years of 0% increases because we owe it to the people. And, when I took over my first term, we roughly had about $19 million in the reserves right around there. We were borrowing TAN's money for $15 million a year to make payroll. Our union contracts are outdated since 2008. We're current with everything. We're not borrowing any money anymore. And we got roughly about $57 million in our reserves, the highest ever in the 17 years I've been around in government that we have that much money. And it's because we're being smarter, we're working harder, and we're doing more partnerships. Like we did a partnership with AAU. And we brought AAU into, first of its kind in New York State, doing it with Sheriff Apple. Thank you, Sheriff, for helping us out on that. It's been a great partnership. Actually, AAU has, we went nationally with it through County Executives of America, where I'm vice president of, first vice president, and we actually showcased it to other counties of how you can work in a partnership to give youth an opportunity to grow. But most, because I always say to parents, look at 99% of these kids here, 99.9, are never going to make it to professional anything, but we can make them a good citizen for the future, give them a foundation. So we do.
And these are sports programs,
correct.
But it's not just sports.
Lacrosse, it's not. It's just not about lacrosse and hockey or basketball or baseball baseball, fishing, chess club. We have it all now. It's about giving them, we do gang intervention. We do cyberbullying, bullying. We reach out and we're showcasing all the things we highlight in our departments, but really putting in an educational approach to it.
Sure.
And that's what I wanted. So that's been working out well, and that program's going to continue to grow.
Well, we know how important. I mean, you mentioned bullying, the bullying prevention, those things, growing up, and I don't know about you, but growing up, it was all right to kid and to joke with kids, and you didn't understand the difference. There was never that realization that perhaps it really was bullying. And so now in the school, it's prevalent, this anti-bullying
Correct.
issue.
When we were kids, Mary, you didn't have the internet, right?
Right.
So when you got home from school and you got in your house, it was your sanctuary. Once you got off the bus or walked home, you didn't have to hear it, right? Someone either had to call you or write you a note, which kids don't do. But now, because of the digital age, kids are on there 24/7, and they're getting bullied while they're in bed. They're getting bullied while they're getting in the morning.
Once it's on the internet, it never goes away.
It's there forever, And I always try to tell my own kids too. I'm like, look, what you put there is, 10 years from now, someone might see that, and you're going to have to justify what you're doing. And most importantly, you might have to justify yourself to your own kids.
Sure.
And saying, wow, I can't. It's there. It's never going away. So it's one of them things that hey, look, I think a kid's unique if they have purple hair or they wear funny clothes or they got their own trend going. That's someone that's being their own leader. They're beating to their own drum. And I say to every other kid that looks and says, well, this is the norm. I should have a suit and tie on. No, you know what? What makes that person tick? And that's what gets me going, because I'm like, because you know what? They don't care. To them, they're like, hey, this is how I want to live my life. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the people that sometimes can't come out of their own element, or afraid to say, well, I don't want to be bullied, so I would love to wear a shirt like that, but I can't because I'll get bullied. You know what? Who cares what people think? All you got to do is think about yourself and say, you know what, does it make me happy? And I always laugh when people joke around and say things about me. I'm like, hey, look, if I made your day and I put a smile on your face, so be it.
That's wonderful. We are talking with Albany County Executive Dan McCoy today. Let's stay on the Department of Recreation. That was it's a brand new department.
It is.
As of this year, something you had talked about in your State of the County last year. And I know you were talking a little bit about the breadth of the programs. I know that, in Colonie and in Ravenna and Cohoes, you've got, in a year and a half or so, you've served over 2,200 kids so far.
We have, and we keep growing. And, it was something I saw early on in my administration. It's when we took over Lawson's Lake, another partnership I did with Craig Apple back in 2013, and we expanded it for inner city kids and kids out in the suburbs to go there for free and be kids. And I want the education approach. I keep saying education because that, to me, is the most foundation of the whole program, is the education. But kids want to be kids and they want to play sports. So one of the things as we went forward with everything, a lot of living under this cap, the 2% world, times are getting tough coming out of this recession since 2008. People can't afford town, cities, and villages. What's the first thing that goes? It's recreation.
Sure.
And you still got to take these kids, sometimes negative energy, and put it in a positive way so that they, don't get in trouble. And this is a way of doing it. And for the last couple of years, we started the recreation department, but I piecemealed it. I borrowed a secretary from one department. I was borrowing people from all over. Sheriff Apple was doing the same thing, and we kind of put them together. And we said, if it works, then we'll go for a standalone department. And it really did. It took off quicker than we both imagined. And, so when we sat down, it was just, it was great to finally get the legislature on board, because there's some pushback from them. They kept, everything we did at the lake, they were pushing back. And finally, when they saw the end results and the smiles on the kids' faces, they got on board.
Well, congratulations for that. We're going to stay a little bit with the education theme and with kids and talk about, it really seems to be a key point for you and your administration when it comes to education, when it comes to an opioid crisis
Yes,
across
we
the
do.
country, and you have a multi-pronged approach, but it's education and action. I know you recently had a meeting of a task force. That was part of your State of the County. Do you want to talk about that crisis?
We did. We put not just law enforcement agencies together. We put people that are in the trenches, and I mean by the trenches, churches, community leaders, because this is going to take everybody. This isn't just about being the leader or the highest elected official or being the chief of police or the sheriff. We're not going to change it without working together, and again, in a partnership, that we have to educate young kids, give them better opportunities, and find out the source of why, and that's why we have some clergy too, because, they'll see it first sometimes in their own churches or synagogues or mosques. They'll see it. We want to grab it and find out what we can do to get kids away from this. And again, that was part of the recreation department, to give kids an opportunity to go get rid of some of that energy and learn. And it saddens me, it really does, to see that these kids see no other way out of just using drugs, and their friends are dying. Look around you. This touches everyone. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter where your social status is in the society. It doesn't matter what you look like, how much money you have. This is getting everybody. And we did the Narcan order last year.
That was your big announcement.
Yeah,
last year.
Last year. We had the pharmacists giving it out, which was great.
Stan, you had the commissioner, Department of Health, issue a standing order.
Correct.
Right.
And now this is focusing on more of what we can do, and it's going to turn out to we're going to have to spend money on education. We're going to have to do commercials. We're going to have to do TV ads. We have to get into schools and educate these kids. And what best way can we do that? So I'm hoping these are the type of outcomes that we're going to have, and I'm hoping for the best for it.
And you have the task force that's making the recommendations, working on that in the trenches. We will go to the other end of the spectrum now and talk about seniors.
Yeah.
Many changes, since the start of your administration, you've always said how important seniors are and how much they've given back. And there are different ways. We'll talk about the nursing home. We'll talk about you recently were in Washington.
Yeah, I was. You know what? We have over 60,000 seniors over the age of 60 and growing, living longer, that have paid their dues to society, paid their taxes, have raised their families or started companies and left a legacy. Now it's our turn to take care of them, And I always say to kids, I go, you don't need a histories book. You don't need to go on the internet. Just go visit a senior, sit at their feet and listen to them, listen to their stories. We have, seniors that are still alive from World War II to hear about that era, the Depression, going through the 50s, going through the 60s, and hear it from their point of view is just incredible. And they give so much back. Sure. We owe it to them. And, we announced last year, I think it was last year, it was age-friendly. Yes. Albany County, AARP announced it. It's not easy to get that designation. We're only one of 100 age-friendly counties, and we're going to improve on that. And we started doing meetings. We just had our third one where we bring all the senior services in together, and we talk about shared services. We talk about partnerships, our summits. Yeah, senior summits. We talk about partnerships and how we can make it better for people living at home, because no one wakes up and says, I want to go to a nursing home. They live in that house for 60 years or whatever, wherever they live, or their apartment. They live there forever. I actually had the honor, I think it was like 2 years ago, I got to visit a lady in Gilderland. I think she turned 107. Yeah, 107. Yes. And she lived...
Edna Sills.
Yes, and she lived in the same apartment for like the last 50 or 60 years of her life.
It was incredible.
It was just, she said, and just to listen to her and her smile, it's like, wow, but we had a nursing home that was failing. We had a nursing home that was losing upwards of $1 million a month. We were paying $19 million a year of county taxpayers' dollars for roughly 250 residents. And really, we run about 220 to 230 residents any given day. It wasn't run right. We weren't billing properly. We weren't investing money in the nursing home. Something had to change. It was an epic battle that I do not regret that I had early on as county executive with the legislature. Sure. But it was the outcome. It was the agreements that we came up with that really changed everything. As of today, we're paying less than $5 million of taxpayers' money in Albany County. We dropped that deficit down. Larry Slacky, who's running the nursing homes, has been doing a great job. We're turning our billable hours around. Our Medicaid Medicaid payment has gone up. So
Which means we get reimbursed at a higher rate,
correct,
right?
and we're hoping with the mixed use that we're looking at, that someday in the next couple of years, that nursing home will run with no tax dollars from Albany County, and that's my goal, is to run it like that.
And that's probably, you've said many times over the years that you like to run the county like a business.
Yeah, I've gotten criticized for that. I said, and I said, let me explain this to you. I go, government people think, well, we're government, we can lose money. It's okay, because if this program's costing this much, we'll just raise taxes. Them days are gone. I treat government like a business. I strive to make a profit. I try to get every department to make a profit, but knowing that the profit's not going to the stock owners, it's going to the taxpayers of this county, giving them the relief that they need, and that's how we can do a good job governing. And I say that to everyone, we have to govern, and I think it was President Roosevelt that said it, treat government like a gift. You work for the people and use that gift wisely. It's the same thing the way I treat my office, that I strive to make a profit, I try to change the way we do services, and that's how in the last 5 years we've turned everything around. We look at how we buy pencils. We look at, and it sounds silly to your viewers, pencils.
It adds up.
But it does add up. A dollar saved here, 10 cents saved there. It does add up, and that's why, and not touching our reserves. And this is, I caution the legislature, we're supposed to have 10% of our budget in reserves. Mm-hmm. We're getting there, and that's my goal for a rainy day, because we're going to hit another recession, or people are going to need services, and, it's nice, and I want to have the lowest taxes in New York State. We right now have the 9th lowest in New York State, and if you look at per capita, we're probably about the 5th lowest. And in Saratoga, which represents about 200,000 people, they're roughly at the 5th lowest taxes in the state of New York. But they got a track, and they got 2 tracks and 1 racino. What are they doing wrong, And I look at Rensselaer County, their population about 150, and they're like 27th on the list. Schenectady County's 37, and we have.
We wonder how that new casino will make
that should change Schenectady, and we'll get revenue from that. But we also have to look at the negative side. Gamblers Anonymous, more people losing their houses, going on welfare. These are things I have to offset some of that revenue for, and I'm hoping the legislature sees that too, that we can't just go out and spend money for programs or different things. We have to be frugal. It's not our money. It's the people's money. We work for the people. If somebody says, how does it feel to be your own boss? I go, I'm not my own boss. I work for 310,000 people. It's what they want out of government and the services I can give them. Which, I'll do a 180 on you right now.
Okay.
Which brings me to the fact of how we govern. The state of New York and the federal government really affect us on our budget every year, because they give, they either give us more unfunded mandates from the state or the feds. And one of the things that when President Trump announced that he was cutting funding to Meals on Wheels, CDBG, a bunch of other projects, and we looked at it, and I reacted quickly, and then we realized, because the way the state takes the federal money in, it wasn't going to affect the Meals on Wheels
because of the way in Albany County
correct, it's set up.
Okay.
But it's still going to affect the rest of the nation, a lot of them. And what's bothersome is the indigent services, like the legal project.
Sure.
They give it to people that can't afford it. Well, that program is being cut out at a time where people need fair representation. So as first Vice President and County Executives of America and President-elect for NYSAC, I got right on it, wrote letters, and got our board members on it. And
you actually went to Washington, D.C.
I did. I just got back. I was there for 2 days, and I went down there to lobby, not just for Meals on Wheels and other things. At the point I was trying to get into for the repeal and replace Obamacare, which was a disaster. And though I've been fighting for the state to pay for Medicaid, the congressman was a little, Faso, Congressman Faso, put in there that the state by 2020 should pay. Now, I was okay with that if it was standalone. I've been pushing it with, County Executives of America. Ed Day, County Executive down south, has been pushing it. He brought it up. It's great legislation by itself, but when they tied it in,
tying it into the healthcare,
it was, to me, it was a no-brainer to say, look, though this will take care of it, we're putting 25,000 people at risk in Albany County for health care that are on Obamacare. We're putting 25 million people at risk in this nation that I can't live with.
If the current
Correct.
system were repealed.
Right. So I went down there. We were lobbying on that on a variety of programs. The EPA. You know, I was very upset. We had the Paris Agreement.
Yeah. Climate change.
Yes.
Climate change.
President Obama signed it, and in one foul swoop, this president knocks it out. And the problem with that is because now, you know, and I get it. He wants to put coal miners back to work. He wants to do this. We got renewable energy. We're doing solar farms. We're doing windmills. We're creating more jobs. You know, yes, the coal miners are losing their job, but they're moving over to greener technology.
And I know hot off the presses, I think New York State, it's somewhere in the vicinity of 85,000 clean energy jobs.
Correct,
across the state.
85,000 across the state.
Yeah.
So, you know, I encouraged a letter through all the county executives around this nation to sign on with me and send it to the president. Regardless, he kicked it back. We're going to stay to them standards.
You're circulating that letter right now.
Yeah. So it's you know, we're at a crossroads, and we need a president that leads right now. And he's not on a reality show. This ain't The Apprentice. You know, he needs to realize he's governed 330 million Americans, and he has to act it. It's not a reality show. He has the lives of everyone in his hands, and he needs to make decisions that help everybody. You know, and you know, I always say to everyone, when I get elected, I just don't represent Democrats because I'm a Democrat. I represent Republicans and conservatives and independents and working family, citizen action, whatever. But you know, the Green Party, it doesn't matter. You don't come to my office and say, "Whoa, you're a Green Party candidate. I can't talk to you. You're a Republican." No. I work for everybody, you know, and we need, you know, regardless if you voted for me, you didn't vote for me, we need to put all that stuff aside, the egos aside, and work for the people. And that's what I say to the president. He needs to work for the people.
And I know we're running out of time. I want to get back to one thing if I didn't ask you about that has to do with the nursing home. There's a $60 million project. And tell us quickly about that.
We're investing $60 million. We have to bond it up first in the county, but the state government reimburses us 85% after the second year, and so we'll get 85% back of the $60 million. But we're going to make this their home. You know, when someone goes into a nursing home, we want them, you know, enjoy the quality of life that they have left, but we want them to feel at home. And to me, that's a home. I want them to say, "Man, that was my mom's home at the end. My grandfather, my grandmother, my sister, my brother, my friend," and have a pleasant experience when someone comes visit you, and they have a nice experience. So we're going to invest $60 million in the building, and it's going to be state-of-the-art facility when we're done. And I got to tell you, we'll have a waiting list for people to get in, and that's my goal.
That's going to be amazing. You know, I am going to have you back sooner. We're going to have you back to follow up on all of these things, because I know we didn't even get to talk about the possible cutting in HEAP.
The HEAP and all that. Yeah, I mean, there's so much. And, you know, when the state budget passes, hopefully tomorrow, if it passes on time, you know, we got to see how that's going to affect us. And, you know, unfortunately, they cut out the ILS. There's a few other things. Raise the age they want us to pay for. They want to do different standards in public defender's office, but they want the counties to pay for it. And, you know, being a politician, the hardest thing is when you come up with, everyone comes up with great ideas. It's paying for them. And I don't think you should pass a law until you figure out how you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, unfunded mandates are a huge part of your budget.
I could sit here all day and tell you all these programs I want to run, but we didn't do Project Growth, who we just got a national recognition for, without having a funding mechanism in place that we could pay for it. Everything that we've launched, that we've got, you know, our juvenile program at probation that we just got an award from Harvard on.
For an innovative program.
Yeah, innovative program, doing things differently. It wouldn't happen without partnerships and figuring out funding. I come up with 1,000 great ideas a day, but at the end of the day, if you can't pay for it, who am I going to make the towns, cities, and villages pay for it? So I say to the Senate and Assembly, you know, the 155 Assembly members and the 63 senators, you know, truly do your job, come up with a way to pay for it.
You're going to be back. We're going to find out how the state fared, how everything happened, turns out in Washington. We'll make sure that we have you back to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
This has been Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak. We hope to see you again soon.